We've all heard the pretty daunting statistics about fertility after 40, and yet we also know it happens. Women can and absolutely do get pregnant naturally at age 45. So how is that possible? Today, we are going to unravel the incredible biological paradox that makes it all work.
Okay, let's just get this number out on the table first. Research suggests that by the time a woman is 45, a staggering 80 to 90% of her remaining eggs might have chromosomal abnormalities. I mean, that is a huge number. It makes things sound almost impossible, right?
And that really brings us to the core question here. If the vast majority of eggs aren't viable, how does the body manage to find that one healthy egg? It seriously sounds like finding a needle in a haystack. But, as we're about to see, the body has a brilliant system for doing just that.
So, we're going to tackle this head on. Think of it like a biological mystery. We're going to uncover 4 key clues that, when you put them all together, explain the incredible processes that make this possibility a reality.
Now, the solution here isn't magic, and it's not just some random statistical fluke. No, it is deeply rooted in a series of elegant, super complex biological mechanisms. It all comes down to variation, to quality control, and the body's truly remarkable ability to select for the best possible outcome. Let's dive into our very first clue. And honestly, this one is a big one. It completely changes how we should think about egg aging, because it turns out they just don't all decline at the same rate.
You know, there's this common myth that all of a woman's eggs just kind of age together in lockstep over time. But the reality is actually so much more nuanced. Think of the ovary more like a diverse population. Even as most of the eggs decline, there's this small, persistent group that remains metabolically stronger and way more resilient than the rest.
So, what makes these particular eggs so resilient? Well, it really comes down to their cellular health. They have stronger mitochondria. Those are the tiny power plants inside the cell, so they're producing more energy. They've managed to avoid a lot of DNA damage from something called oxidative stress, which you can think of as just cellular wear and tear. And, this is crucial, they are much better at the incredibly complex job of separating chromosomes correctly. These are the eggs that, still have what it takes.
Okay, so if a few of these really good eggs are still around, how on earth does the body find them? Well, that brings us to clue number 2. The ovary isn't a passive player here. It's actively making choices. It doesn't just pick an egg at random.
Every single month, it's like a competition. Dozens of follicles, and each one has an egg inside. They all start to grow. But the body is watching very closely. It's looking for the one with the strongest metabolic signals and the absolute best hormonal response. And then, it pours all of its resources into that single, dominant follicle, the champion, and that's the one that gets to ovulate.
What this really is the body's own natural, built-in quality control system. It's brilliant, really. The body is constantly searching for and selecting the most promising candidate it can find, every single cycle. So even with a much smaller pool of high-quality eggs to choose from, this super rigorous selection process maximizes the chance of success.
All right, let's get even more microscopic for our third clue. We're going to dive right inside the egg itself to look at the tiny little engines that power this entire operation, the mitochondria.
It is incredible. A single egg cell is just packed with mitochondria. We're talking hundreds of thousands of them. They are providing all the energy that's needed for fertilization and for those first few crucial days of an embryo's development. But just like the eggs themselves, these mitochondria, they are not all created equal.
And this leads us to this really fascinating process called the mitochondrial bottleneck. It's basically another layer of quality control, but this time it's happening inside the egg. As the egg matures, the healthier, more robust mitochondria are able to replicate way more effectively than the damaged ones. So this selection process ensures that the final mature egg is powered up by the best possible energy sources it has.
Now, for our final clue, we need to zoom back out a little bit, because an egg's quality isn't just about what's going on inside of it. It is profoundly influenced by the world immediately around it.
See, the egg develops inside this little structure called a follicle, and that environment is absolutely crucial. There are supportive cells that actually provide it with mitochondrial fuel. The fluid that surrounds it is rich in antioxidants to protect it from damage, and the whole system is guided by these super precise hormonal signals. And all of this is tied to the mother's overall metabolic health, which helps create the best possible environment for these resilient eggs to really thrive.
So let's put it all together. Clue 1. Not all eggs age the same. Clue 2. The body actively picks the best one. Clue 3.
There's quality control happening inside the egg. And clue 4, the surrounding environment provides crucial support. Now we can solve the paradox.
And this, right here, is the key takeaway. When we hear a statistic like 80 to 90%, we have to remember that it's describing the average probability across a massive population. It doesn't, and it can't, predict a certain outcome for any one person in any one month.
So why is it still possible? Well, because even at 45, a few eggs can absolutely remain metabolically competent. The ovary continues its rigorous monthly selection contest to find them. And within those eggs, you have mechanisms like the mitochondrial bottleneck working to preserve a healthy energy supply. It's a game of probability, not impossibility.
You know, understanding all this amazing biology naturally leads scientists to a brand new and really pressing question. The focus is starting to shift from if it can happen to why it might be getting harder for some women today.
Researchers are now looking into why egg quality might be declining earlier in modern generations. They're investigating factors like chronic inflammation, our exposure to environmental toxins, and metabolic issues that are linked to diet and lifestyle, all of which could potentially accelerate that cellular wear and tear inside the ovaries.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful thought to chew on. What if the conversation we're having around fertility needs to get bigger? What if the key isn't just about the chronological age of an egg, but also about the biological age of its environment, both inside the ovary and maybe in the world at large? It's a question that could really change how we approach fertility for generations to come.